I'll be 17 in a week. 17 years old, and I guess I really just haven't found my deepest of darkness yet. What I mean by that is we live life basically walking through a tunnel, in my opinion. At one point of time, we find ourselves completely shrouded in this place we can't find an escape from. My reality, though, is that we ultimately are the only ones who can save ourselves from it. Why am I writing is always the first question I or someone else asks myself. If I'm so adamant about the solutions to my problem, or understand sometimes I really just do need help, why do I sit here for multiple hours at a time and just write? Nothing fixes anything, and the inputting of text onto some social media based site really doesn't do anything either. So what just am I trying to do? Nothing. Hello everyone, my dear acquaintances of this life, those I've called mom, and maybe just someone who stalks my web address of information. How's your day? Awesome? Maybe awful. Who really knows? You know? My reality is no matter what happens in this life, we decide how we react to situations. I grew up in a home where I was abused and neglected for about 8 years because I simply allowed it to happen. For the proof of this occurring, please refer to my soon-to-be uploaded note, douche. I'm not some bullshit lyricist. My reason for this specific note is simply to remind myself every year I write and I feel the same way year after year. Until I find my darkness, nothing is ever going to change. And when I find it, I want to embrace it with open arms. I no longer fear anything, neither death nor God. I do not wish to repent these actions at some later date. I only wish to live by these words. I hope I never find a reason to fear my death, no matter where it takes me. So with this mindset, I know I never will. I am past praying for. Some spatial being has no reason to interject herself with my affairs. Yes, her. The only person I truly fear is myself. We as people question our actions at times, and we would love to believe that someone else inside of us is the reason we commit to certain actions, but we are the only person inputting the buttons. So I will not blame my actions on some demon inside of me, not only tempting but also possessing my actions, because, simply put, I am the demon. I am the only child I know who thinks all day long, living in remorse and constant regret. I can be happy, but for anyone who knows me, I'll try to discontinue our relationship through excuse or direct cut of contact, whether that means hitting an unfriend button to my best friend or writing some fucking idiotic letter after a 15-mile walk on the highway through a pack of dogs and coyotes, because my irrational self will go to irrational extents to make sure I remain alone. I'm not really sure if it has something to do with the fact that I never made a real attachment with my legitimate mother or the other woman I grew up with, but I refuse to have a materialistic attachment to anything. Snapbacks and people alike. Nothing truly matters. I'm perfectly fine if through your eyes that makes me an inconsiderate, selfish brat. Go ahead and name me what you will. I invite you to. Because at the end of the day, I really don't give a shit. I used to go to a fancy special arts school where gifted children were homed, for the musicians and vocalists and the like. The reason I bring this up is because my social situation and standings tend to change every couple of months or so, and it's really not my placement in things that makes me feel certain ways. I am the only reason I feel this way. I've lived in 6 months in shelters, I've lived 4 months homeless, I've lived in a fucking house valued at more than 2.5 million, and the reality is that it's all just a matter of perception. I don't know if I'm self-destructive because my hips and wrists and other body parts have never been touched by a blade or flames or anything, but I enjoyed living in the shelter more. I enjoyed, what are they called? The shower heads without the head on it, a shower headless shower, I guess you could call it, and flies over a warm and comfortable bed. Like the water just came right out of the pipe. I don't know why I'm emphasizing this. That doesn't matter. The reason the artsy school was referenced was because I met a man there by the name of Eric. He was a first-time teacher at our school, but in my entire grade school career, the little time I had spent in that classroom amounted to a lot more than some bullshit honors program. Because I've been a 4.0 GPA student, and I've been a literal 0.0 GPA student. A letter grade does not define a person. One day at the start of class, Eric had projected an image on the board of most presumably some poverty-afflicted area of what we all agreed upon to be India. The picture displayed a class of children who were being instructed under a highway with two men who we all agreed to be unpaid for their instructing. Eric requested that we all write down words to express how we felt in relationship to this sight. I simply wrote down one word immediately and remained silent for the rest of the writing period. Envy. A classroom full of children who were underprivileged in relation to myself made me envious. I was envious because at bare least, regardless of what lives they lived, what situation they were in, whether happy or depressed, at the bottom line, at least they had something of value. See, to me it wasn't about who got the best food to eat or the shiniest toy car. I just never cared. So, at minimum, even if it meant that they at least cared for their existence, I was jealous. Since my reality is the understanding that I really just don't. My reality dictates I'm not here to live, yet at the same time I'm not here trying to die. I'm not suicidal, and I don't have any goals or ambitions, and hopes are something I've never experienced. I'm just kind of here, floating around. That's my reality. A really fucking empty place. Not a depressing one, not a regretful one. Just an empty world. So whether you are a girlfriend, a mother, a lost father, or just a pet cat, I apologize for being unable to care. I'm sorry. My reality is nothing. Nothing.